Hello, I'm Don Mooers, and welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. County executive race here in Montgomery County has become exciting in the last month, with a third candidate joining the running for this November's general election. Brian Karem, executive editor of the Sentinel newspaper, has the story of what we can expect over the coming weeks. Fall brings the Beacon's Expo to both Montgomery County and Northern Virginia. Stuart Rosenthal, editor and publisher of this wonderful publication, The Beacon, will give us the details as well as review the rest of the Beacon's September issue. The Juvenile Justice Division of the state's attorney's office here in Montgomery County deals with crime committed by young people in our community. Carlotta Woodward, the chief of the division, is here to discuss how the legal system works with this young population. School began this week, post-Labor Day, for students in Montgomery County Public Schools. And we understand it started with a minimum of fuss or muss. Jane Winter, who comments regularly for this program, will report on the beginning of the new school year and what we should expect from the 2018-19 academic year. Brian Karem.
I'm Moore, good to see you.
I cannot believe you've made it here from the White House press room. We're not talking White House press room, but I want to say congratulations for putting the Sentinel and representing, I think, all of us, right, left, center, whatever, so well. But we're not talking about that.
Okay.
We're talking about, we're going from Pennsylvania Avenue to Maryland Avenue. Or
there you go.
There we go, from Pennsylvania to
Maryland Avenue.
There you go. To the county executive race.
Yes.
And Monroe, actually. What's going on here? I thought we had a Democratic, very contentious. Mark Elrich squeaks by just a few votes.
79 votes.
Robin Thicke wins the Republican. We had this really nice, real difference of.
And now we have Nancy Floreen, who is running as an independent.
Who is Nancy Floreen?
Well, she's a county council member and a Democrat who,
like Mark Elrich.
Like Mark Elrich, and like Mark has been, a county councilman for many years, and she didn't like the way things turned out. So
was she in the primary?
No, she did not.
So she didn't run in the primary. And then
now
and then
she's running
happy.
as an independent.
Okay, just trying to figure.
So yeah, and as we all are trying to figure it out. So basically, the knock against her from her, for those against her, is she's in the pocket of the developers, and she did not like Mark Elrich. The developers do not like Mark Elrich.
What evidence is there that she's in the pocket of developers?
Well, she takes. She has said she's more pro-growth. Okay. The key buzzwords for developers. And she has knocked Elrich for his concerns about unfettered growth. And those who develop the county, construction and developers, are very wary of Mark Elrich and think that he's anti-growth to the point of being a socialist. And they've tried to spread that rumor.
So I know I've talked to Mark many times, but he talks about balanced growth. But balanced growth is not the same as...
He has not been anti-growth. He's been very... In assessing what he's done, he has been very common sense about how you develop the county. Mm-hmm. Now he is more conservative in his giving into developers than Nancy Floreen, but he has not been anti-growth. And then finally you have Robin Thicke, the Republican, and Robin Thicke, the knock against him. We're having, by the way, a candidate forum Monday, September 24th, 7 p.m. in the County Council building with all three of the candidates that we're hosting. And when we hosted a similar forum regarding term limits, at that point in time, Robin Thicke, now the Republican candidate, when I asked him specifically if he was after term limits so he could run for an office, he said no, his time was past, and of course now he's running. And in many ways, this mirrors the 2016 national election.
I was going to ask you about that because I know I've heard, belong to Montgomery Women, which is to get women elected. A lot of the women members of that have been helping Nancy gather signatures, et cetera, and have said that Robin Thicke and his people have been helping Nancy gather signatures.
That's
which
true.
You can imagine why. So
well, and that's and if you look at the yard signs around the county, Robin Thicke, people, there are a lot of people who go, oh, Robin Thicke, he's a perennial candidate, he's a gadfly, he can never win. He's going to win. I mean, there are a lot of people who think he's going to win. And what you're looking at is a very dedicated number of voters in this county who are sick of the way things have gone in this county. Higher taxes, higher property taxes. They look at Robin Thicke as a cure for that, because both Mark Elrich and Nancy Floreen have been a member of the inside. They're the county councilman.
Look, Elrich has been in the progressive camp for years.
Yes, he has.
He stakes that position out
Very
publicly
well.
all the time. So you use the word conservative in connection with him, but I know you didn't mean it that way.
Conservative in development. He's not one to be
Like conservation instead.
yeah, he's a
conservationist.
conservationist.
But I'm
and
saying,
so-
but he only won, I think, with 27% of the vote. There was such a split ticket. So
Right.
there's no way saying that he's got half of the county voting for him necessarily
No.
at this point.
No, not at all. That's why I think that people who think that it's a cakewalk for anyone is wrong, and that Thicke has a great chance of winning and may indeed win. And the arrogance of the people in this county who think it's a blue county and no one will ever vote for Thicke are the very same people who allowed Donald Trump to win.
Right. Well, and I looked at the general election results from 4 years ago when Ike was running, and very popular. He
Got about a
did-
minute left, folks.
But in the general election, he won by a lot, but not by twice as much as the Republican.
No.
And so when you're talking about splitting what potentially
And
might
that's
be the
why
Democratic
people
vote,
are there are Democrats who are extremely angry with Nancy Floreen coming into it
Yeah,
because
she
they
was
believe
booed. She was booed at the Labor Day parade in Kensington.
There
Just
is a
huge bluebirds all
firm
going after
belief
her.
that she's going to split the vote and allow Robin Thicke to win. And I got news for you, folks. That's a good chance.
Let's look ahead. 30 seconds left. County under Robin Thicke, county under Mark Elrich, county under Nancy Floreen. Real quick.
County under Floreen will be much more pro-growth. County under Elrich will be much more progressive. County under Robin Thicke will be like Donald Trump without the tweets.
And
No other way to put it. And thankfully so, without the tweets. I could do without any more tweets for the rest of my life, pal.
maybe Robin Thicke will find Twitter.
God, no, please, no.
Look forward to having you back and continue
Thanks,
good luck
Don.
and keep fighting the fight in that
We
White
keep
House
trying.
courtroom.
Just trying to ask questions, brother. That's all we do.
So it's great to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be here, Don.
So we've got the Expo, which is one of the highlights in the county and Northern Virginia every year. And this year is the Great Artiste Judger. Tell us a little bit about what we expect. And we really want to hear about the
Well,
arts.
I'll discuss the celebration of the arts first, I guess, because the main event at our expo this year is going to be the awards ceremony for the celebration of the arts.
Right.
This was like a year-long program that we had where we encouraged our readers to go out and try a new art or skill or go back to something
Wait a
they used
minute,
to
I
love.
believe you announced it on this
I
program.
think I did. That's
that
right.
was
That's
big
right.
news here.
It
and
was.
900 people
More
responded.
than 900
Entries.
entries came into the competition. We had more than 400 paintings, more than 200 sculptures. It was really phenomenal. And the quality of the work is just amazing. I was blown away by it. So anyway, we had our judges pick the winners for second and third place in each category, and we're going to present the awards and have some words from our winners at both expos.
Okay.
One's going to be September 30th. That's in Virginia, in Springfield, at the Springfield Town Center from noon to 4. And then 2 weeks later, October 14th, it's also a Sunday, at the Silver Spring Civic Center is our Montgomery County Expo. So we hope people will come out and get a chance to meet the artists, see their art.
So I remember White Flint is where you were for so
Used
many
to be,
years,
right,
but
right.
that's kind of
Can't have an expo there anymore. This is outdoors, right?
exactly, or it's
Or
coming
in the
down.
street.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited about in looking at the expo? And I think hopefully we'll
Well-
talk a little bit about the Montgomery County one again next month. But just what's
well,
a quick
I'm
preview?
excited about the awards ceremony, but I
Right.
want to point out that the expo is a lot more than that.
Right.
I mean, we have health screenings of all sorts. We have flu shots. We have entertainment. We have nonprofit organizations, government agencies, and all kinds of businesses giving out information and giveaways, and we have door prizes. There's a lot to do for the whole
So
time.
is this only for like very elderly people?
No,
Tell
no,
me who
right,
it's
right,
for.
right, right.
I was thinking the same thing. We're not eligible.
It's called the
We
50
can't
Plus
come in.
Expo, so I hate to tell you guys, you're all eligible.
I'm really
Or
only
most of you, anyway.
32.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
Carlotta,
it's a
Bring your
tough
has a
one.
lot
Oh.
of years left, thank goodness.
Hey, how you doing?
Bring your parents with you. No, it's really it's for
grandparents.
older adults and their families. It's going to be information on housing and on financial issues and all kinds of healthcare issues. and everybody's going to find stuff in there that's going to be helpful to them and useful, I think.
That's
Such
great.
as?
Come and see. Bring your friends, you'll see.
Well, I thought maybe
These
you
people
might
do-
want to tell the people on TV.
Well, it's a long, we have 75 exhibitors. I mean, it's all these kinds of different categories.
Well, the screenings and all of that. I mean, we hear from folks that this is a chance. It's free screenings. The
Right.
The
Everything's
flu
free.
shots are. I mean, just it's so. What a great service. And when we're looking at so many people who have issues with their budgets, as well as those in fixed income and here and there, as well as those who want to understand much more about what life has in front of them.
Right.
If you can't read the Beacon, you come to the
Right.
or
And
come to
you'll-
Expo.
if
So
you pick
give
up
me
the
one of the
September-
best ones.
I gave you the September issue,
Yeah.
right? So that has a whole list of all of our exhibitors in there.
So for everybody on TV, what's one of the best ones besides the flu?
Well,
screen?
Holy Cross Hospital, they're doing all of the screenings. They're doing the balance screening and osteoporosis screening and blood pressure, lots of different things.
I'm there,
And he
brother.
needs a
I'm
blood
there.
pressure especially. Let's
No,
talk a
I
little bit
apply
about-
the
That's
pressure.
right. You're
Let's talk a little bit about some of the health, some of the other
A
issues.
couple of very
topics.
interesting Alzheimer's stories. There was, you may have seen this, there was a small, well actually it was a large study, but it was closed because it wasn't achieving, an Alzheimer's drug, it wasn't achieving its results. But they kept on this small group, a few hundred, who were at the highest dose and who were the oldest and who had the most serious, just to see if it made a difference for them. And those who stayed in the study longer with a high dose had incredible results. 80% of those people who had started out with tangles in their brain from MRIs,
Right.
they had all disappeared after 18 months on the drug. That's never happened before.
But does that make a difference in their cognitive
Well,
functioning?
that's the question.
or
That is the
is
question.
it-
That's what scientists are trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Is it the tangles that cause it? Are they a hallmark of the disease? We don't really know, but we think there's a connection.
Well, no,
but
but
their
I
cognitive,
don't-
no,
But
their
they're getting them
cognitive
back.
They did.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they
like, I'm-
improved. They improved by 30% on
Oh,
cognitive
okay.
tests. Yeah, they got
Wow.
better. But the others are
That's
getting
great.
worse. Yeah, so there's definitely
Wow.
a change. So, but this is by a drug company. So it hasn't been done yet. Hasn't been tested in large.
Well, and we
quantities
know
all over.
how trustworthy
Yeah,
those
that
are.
can be a problem.
White
but,
House
you know,
drug company.
I don't
Yeah.
think they would have gone public with it at this point because they're not
All
selling
right, so
anything.
we
yet,
got
yeah.
just a short period now.
And
What's
then,
another story?
also a local health
Nope.
study that's looking right now for people in this area who are having memory loss to try some other drugs. It's a combination of 2 drug cocktails from Lilly.
I forgot. What were you talking about? No, I'm just-
You can sign up anytime.
Yeah, that's
right. And then we have Jamaica is in our travel story. And
Tell me about Jamaica.
I
'Cause
haven't been. Have you been to Jamaica? It sounds great.
I've been to
Beautiful.
Jamaica. I went
Yeah.
many years ago, and then I also went down there to do work.
They say it's laid back, right? It's very calm and
It
collected.
is. Negril and Montego Bay and Ocho Rios. I think, what's your favorite part?
I went to Falmouth, and I really enjoyed it. It was a beautiful part of the island. It was,
Yeah.
it was wonderful.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a nice place to take
Yeah.
some time off.
The Blue Mountains, great coffee. It's beautiful and ecotourism. So we're here with the Jamaican
All right.
Tourist
well,
Board.
all the details are in the article. You can.
One
find
final
it there.
tidbit. Give us one final tidbit. About 30 seconds.
Oh, 30 seconds left. Let's see here.
Well,
Well, I'll
there's
tell you,
your
my
30 seconds.
column. My column is about Social Security and Medicare. I
Right.
write about this every few years,
Right.
and I get more and more angry as time goes on. This year, we've been saying for years that Social Security and Medicare are going to start causing actual changes in the budget and costing us money. Guess how much taxpayer dollars are going into Social Security and Medicare? Taxpayer dollars, not the ones that have been saved from payroll expenses all these years, but new dollars.
Don't know.
$408 billion this year.
Is that because the
Two-thirds
trust
of the
fund was
budget
rated
deficit.
so much?
Yeah,
in
because the trust
past?
fund doesn't have anything in it. The trust fund is just IOUs. So
Okay.
these IOUs are being paid for out of the budget. That's what my article's about.
So that's
our-
a good reason to
that's our
increase
number. That's our
the
number.
We have to do a lot of things.
defense
We're right
spending.
here.
All right.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after these messages. And we're back. Carlotta Woodward, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, listen, I just this whole issue of juvenile justice
yes.
is are we punishing the kids? Do we think that the kids can be rehabilitated? Are there things in their brains that don't click? They're too not careful enough. I mean, describe the juvenile justice system to us.
The premise behind the juvenile justice system is rehabilitation. It is to try to give these juveniles what they need, whether it's mental health, whether it's counseling, and whether it's actually being taken away from families based upon crimes that they've committed. I find that it is extremely important for these children and the families to receive these type of services. But ultimately, they have multiple opportunities before my office would ever
Right.
see them. They have diversions that happens right after they are
So
charged.
tell me what a diversion is. What's a diversion?
An example of a diversion program would be our office has teen court. So if you have a child who has committed a minor misdemeanor, such as a theft, sometimes vandalism, malicious destruction of properties, they have an opportunity to participate in the teen court, which means that they never go to the Department of Juvenile Services. They never come to the state's attorney's office for us to review whether they should be prosecuted. It's a way for them to see what their crime does to the community.
Are they represented?
No, they are not
No lawyers,
represented.
okay.
No lawyers are about. It is where they are going to admit their involvement or guilt, and that is all about really disposition. That's another way of saying sentencing through the teen court,
let's-
and where they're judged by other teens.
Where's your biggest problem?
Other teens are part of the jury?
Other teens are a part of the teen
Oh,
court, so
that's
it's
interesting.
done by peers.
Oh, wow.
So they judge and jury. They have a jury of their own peers deciding what their disposition is for their
Brian,
offenses.
one second, just real quick. Is it follow? So if a child shoplifts
Yes.
from a 7-Eleven,
Correct.
would that manager of the 7-Eleven come in as a part of this, so that is some of this might be to do some volunteer work or pay back 7-Eleven for what
Restitution?
was restitution? I mean, is that the sort of thing we're talking about?
Absolutely, all of that comes into play, as well as community service comes into play, and the teens that are a part of this and that are on the jury will say how many hours or where they should do this, and try to give them the right remedy.
Where do you find
and
the teens for
disposition.
this? And wouldn't they be afraid of saying it to someone who is sort of more criminal element that, giving you punishment in some way?
We have volunteers from within the community that do it all throughout the year. Georgine DeBoard is the head of our teen court at the state's attorney's office. It's a really beneficial program, but it's for people who have it's their first time.
Right.
And it's an ability to keep them out of the system.
In the past, this program,
Yes.
in your particular department, has suffered from a lack of adequate funding and a lack of manpower. How are you addressing that situation now?
With respect to the teen court, or with respect to the actual Department of Juvenile Services? I will say that we are lacking in programs. I think mental health has become a huge deal in the juvenile system. And our resources are limited, because once a child is found involved and is going to disposition, they have to figure out what is the appropriate disposition for this particular child and what services. And at this point, we need to find what's appropriate for them.
And going back to the whole juvenile justice system, what percentage of your problems stem from lack of or otherwise parental involvement?
We've got about a minute left.
I probably really couldn't tell you a percentage. I probably could say to you that
Is it a root cause for some of the problems?
we do see it as some of the problems, absolutely.
And so how do you address that?
It is very difficult. We have the ability, or judges have the ability, for order controlling conduct for parents, because sometimes we will see where parents will not take their child to probation. Parents
Right.
will not sign releases in order for the Department of Juvenile Services to get records, will not take them to their therapy appointments. So you have a 13-year-old who is finding his way or her way on a bus to some therapy session where their parents are not involved. And it's heart-wrenching sometimes, really, working in the juvenile system.
We have about 20 seconds left. 50 seconds.
But
Any
that-
things you want to any final word that you want to share with us are you hopeful at this point? Is it rewarding?
It is
to see?
absolutely rewarding. I'm always hopeful. We have some wonderful success stories that we see all the time, and it makes that one success story makes every day of my job wonderful.
I just hope you
Thank
get
you,
the
Carlotta.
parents involved a little bit more. That's the biggest problem I see.
Very good.
I agree.
Well, speaking of parents,
Thank you.
we've got these parents who, how many urchins did they produce that are now
Yes, well,
in these
the
schools?
parents have produced 163,500 urchins, as you call
That's
them,
a lot.
attending MCP.
That's a lot of production going on right here.
Yeah, well,
So we've got schools started. School started after Labor Day
School started
because
on
we
Tuesday, right.
we wanted business to go well in Ocean City.
well, I don't think that we did, but Governor Hogan
But Governor
did.
Hogan did, and Peter Francho, his buddy,
Yeah.
from Tacoma Park. So school
that
has
dig in,
started.
didn't he?
No. I just it's not. It's the problem is us. So it's off to a good start.
Yes, well,
Teachers are happy. Did we
we're
get
on-
enough teachers this year?
yes, we have enough teachers. We have in the school system, I won't say, this is not new positions, but just new people. We have
Right.
900 new teachers this year.
A lot
So
of
that's
training.
a lot, yeah, and
Right.
that's going to be a lot. That's a lot of kids who are going to be walking in with a brand new teacher. Brand new teacher doesn't mean 22-year-old. It
But-
could just mean somebody new to
No, because
Montgomery
we cherry
County.
pick from
Right.
Montgomery, from Prince George's County.
Right,
We cherry pick
exactly.
from West
Yeah.
Virginia, all over the place. The best
Yeah.
and the brightest come here.
Right.
What's
So there's just a little bit more. I mean, this is up 1,000 students from last year.
which is a relatively small
Right,
increase
that's
compared
a
to past
fairly
years, right?
small increase compared to the increases over like the last 6 or 7 years. So I think it's, like the very rapid growth is I don't know, it's not out, but slowing down.
And a new name school.
And a new name school, a school opened in the Richard Montgomery cluster. It's
Okay.
actually the site of the old Edmonston
Sure.
school building, which
Edmonston
was
Avenue.
been used by HHS for
Right.
quite a while. And it's named after Bayard Rustin, who was very involved in the civil rights movement.
The March on Washington, I think,
March
63.
in Washington as an organizer, yes.
Right.
And I guess he has many,
Early gay rights.
right, early
Yeah.
gay rights. I was going to say, while there's many things that he is known and,
Right.
respected for, one of the main drivers was the fact that he was a gay black man.
So the
and
first
that
openly gay individual, or LGBT individual who's been for school named after.
Exactly,
So
and so
that's huge
that
for
was
community.
there were a lot of people in the county who were interested in having some public recognition of somebody who was known for that, and so the school's open. And
The one question I had, you said earlier, Don, no fuss, no muss. The one bit of fuss and a bit of the muss.
Well, I read it.
Yes.
That was on the prompter. I don't know.
Hashtag
My
fuss,
kids are
no
gone
fuss,
from the
no
school
muss.
system
Yeah.
now, so I don't know.
One of the big, one of the problems that they've been dealing with is, and they've got now cameras to do it, was the problem with people blowing past stopped school buses,
Right.
and that has
Huge.
been a huge problem.
Right.
And
Danger.
so far, how has, and it's been dangerous. And why you would do it, I have no idea. But it has been a problem, and now the school board is trying to deal with it. And what's been interesting to me is when we've asked the question, how has the school been dealing with it? Haven't quite gotten back a straight answer yet.
well, they do. I mean, this was a number of years ago. They put cameras on the sides of buses. I mean, we've all been there where the red stop sign comes
Right.
swinging out.
So
as the driver.
inconvenient, isn't it?
And
You're in a
people
hurry.
do blow by. And the thing is that
You're
I
gonna
won't
get
say
kids
anything,
killed.
right, but the thing is that people don't even realize, even when you're coming the other direction, unless it's a divided highway, you have to stop. You have to stop. And it's just the same way that people don't move out of the way for an ambulance or whatever. People just,
Yeah.
Well,
lots
I
of
think you have to stop even if it's divided,
No, not
because
on,
when
like-
people are crossing the street.
Not, I said divided highway.
okay,
like
yeah.
Route 95.
Yeah, all right.
All right, so we're
So there's cameras, and you get tickets, and it's a big ticket,
Right.
and it's been for several
Yeah.
years.
to try to start. So what are some of the issues that you see coming down? We've got an election for the school board coming up.
Right, election for the school board, 3 seats are up. One of the things that is new and that people might want to get involved with is that there's an RFP, request for proposal, out right now for the school system wants to purchase basically a whole new, well, they're going to be calling instructional materials, but it's really like a whole new curriculum for English language arts K through 8, as well as math K through 8 and algebra, which goes into 9th or 10th or maybe even 11th grade.
That's done through RFP, not through research done by the department.
Well, I mean, they've gone through a whole process.
About 45
They've
seconds left.
identified what they want.
Oh, okay.
And what they want, I thought was fascinating, is the most innovative program out there. And I'm kind of wondering, okay, innovation is great, but don't we want
Not
the most
tested,
effective?
yeah,
Don't
right.
we want the most proven? Don't we
Right.
want whatever?
How are they
Well, that's
dealing
the-
with the fact that they're saying that you can fail up, and that the grade inflation problem has not been dealt with in
Real
the
quick,
school system
15
so
seconds
far.
on that.
Social promotion.
Yes.
Which is how,
I
which is
don't
how
have
all of
an
us
answer
got to
for
where
that.
we are
I
now.
don't know. Yeah, I know.
Speak for yourself.
I know. I went to a teacher and said, I think
Keep
I got
going.
a D on this. And they said, yes, but I like you, dear. Anyway, but there is
That's
a survey
last
thing
word.
online that
Survey,
people can
okay.
go and ask questions about the curriculum.
Ask questions, follow Jane's words. Ask questions of all of us. We want to ask you guys questions. And we want to thank you most of all for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I want to thank you all especially. I'm Don Moores. Please join us
we wanna
next
thank you,
week
Don.
at this very same time for our next episode.
Stand up.